Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton will discuss the city's budget and other municipal concerns, and we'll look at what's being done to create more women entrepreneurs. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton stops by each month to talk about issues facing the city, and tonight the mayor is here to discuss, among other things, a rather sobering 5-year budget forecast. Here now is Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton. Good to see you again.
Ted, it is always good to be here. No place I'd rather be.
Really? Well, that's interesting. We'll see about that. 5-year budget forecast from the city manager. Let's just get your general thoughts and we'll dive in from there.
Well, first, this upcoming budget year, we have a balanced budget. And just a few years ago, the early projections for this budget year is that we would have been in the red by tens of millions of dollars. But because of very smart, forward-thinking decisions by our city council, including some very tough, controversial decisions that we've talked about on this very show in terms of having to get concessions from our employees in order to meet our budget, and some significant pension reform that we have done that is starting to pay off. We took a budget that was projected to be tens of millions in the red, and now we have a balanced budget, a great accomplishment. We have more work to do. Our 5-year budget forecast, which will be presented to our city council tomorrow, shows that we are expected to be in deficit in the years to come, not this budget year, but in the years to come. We are prepared once again to make the tough decisions to get our budget balanced. There's a reason why we have the highest credit rating of any big city in the country. It's because we have a long-standing tradition of strong fiscal management. I've been able to keep that up during my time as mayor, and hopefully during the entire time I'm mayor, we're going to keep up that tradition and beyond. We are prepared to make the smart decisions to keep our budget balanced.
City manager's 5-year forecast, as you mentioned, next year balanced, but then look out for the next 5 years, deficits $30 to $60 million per. How are you going to attack? What are you going to do to address this?
Well, a lot of different things, as we have with our current budget situation, as we prepared to do to get to a balanced budget this year. We tried to be as smart as possible in terms of efficiencies, innovations at the city, be smarter government, try to do more with less. We have the smallest size of government in 40 plus years at the city in terms of number of employees per capita. We ask our employees to work really hard, and they do. We ask them to work smarter, and they do. When we can eliminate positions, we eliminate positions at the city of Phoenix. We have engaged in significant pension reform that will save the city. Pension reform plus pension spiking elimination will save the city over $800 million. We're actually doing even more pension reform right now. People got a little frustrated that we're doing more pension reform, but if we can come up with policies that are going to save the city money, that's exactly what we're doing. Now, here's where work we need to do. Next year, our pension payment to the state public safety retirement fund is going to go up $25 million from this year. That makes up the bulk of the proposed deficit, the likely deficit next year. So one of the things we're going to need to do is ask the state to really look at what the city of Phoenix has done in terms of being proactive in pension reform. It's a tough issue, but work with our firefighters, work with our police officers who are coming to the table, asking that the legislature work with them to come up with reasonable pension reform that will save the taxpayers and save cities money. It's time that they do that, and if they don't act, the number is going to continue to increase for the city that we have to pay to the state public safety pension fund.
Indeed, retirement costs, correct me if I'm wrong, they are rising faster than revenue. Obviously you have addressed the issue, you are working on the issue, but with the police and fire especially, these pensions are huge, and if those are rising faster than revenue, again, what do you do?
Well, look, we were facing the exact same situation when I became mayor on the civilian pension. The civilian pension is the pension that we manage at the city. The exact same scenario I was faced when I first became mayor. We had to make some very tough choices, some unpopular decisions to significantly reduce our costs of the pension and eliminate pension spiking, which is so frustrating for many people. We did it. And if you look at our budget forecast for the next few years, the number that is not rising is civilian pensions. And in 4 years, guess what happens? That number starts to decline. We're actually going to be in a declining pension payment situation, not just in terms of the percentage of our budget, but in real dollars. We need to do the same reforms with public safety, working with public safety, which is and the leadership of police and fire is willing to come forward and work with the legislature. I, as mayor, I know the majority of our council are really asking that the state legislature show leadership, make some tough choices, just like we had to do at the city. And if you do that, we're going to save a lot of money, and we can get our budget in a much stronger fiscal position for the years to come.
I want to get to pensions, back to pensions in a second here, but the other I mean, you could be raising taxes, you might be cutting city services. I mean, are those options on the table for not for next year, but for down the road, for the next 5?
Well, look, if we're not able to get significant pension reform at the state level, so that we can better manage our budget at the city level, if they're not able to do what we actually did do at the city, Ted, we're going to balance our budget. We have to balance our budget. We're legally required. It's the right thing to do. We have the best credit rating of any big city in the country, not by accident, not by osmosis, but a series of tough policy choices that my predecessors have made and I have made since I have been mayor. So, look, I don't want to be in that situation. I think that the leadership of the state is going to step forward and work with police and fire to come up with the appropriate reforms. But if not, we are prepared to make tough decisions, as I have had to do since I have been mayor, and we've made those tough decisions. That's why we have a balanced budget. That's why we have the highest credit rating of any big city.
The compensation, the impact, I know in 2011 it was $70 million from the city. It's going to be $200 million some odd in 2020. Yeah. Obviously, something's got to be done there. But I know critics are saying, yes, you got next year balanced, and that's great, yeah, but obviously down the line's not so good. They want you and the city in general to start thinking more long term. The criticism is you're not thinking long term enough. How do you respond to that?
Well, I appreciate any polite suggestions about how we can better run the city. I'm a mayor who keeps an open heart and an open mind. I get my best ideas from the people of Phoenix, so I'm open-minded to any suggestions. However, if what we did to get our pension, our civilian pension under control, and in a position where just in a few years it's going to be a declining part of our budget, if that isn't long-term leadership and planning, I don't know what is. And I'm telling you, and I'm telling the people watching this, that we need the state to do exactly what the city of Phoenix has done and come up with reasonable, not political approaches. Nobody needs to pound the table and try to score political points. We need smart professional people to get in a room and not leave that room until they have a reasonable solution about how they're going to get the PSPRS system under better fiscal management and control. It's for the good of the taxpayers. It's for the good of the cities. We've done it. And we will continue to do it at the City of Phoenix.
But those same folks, similar numbers of folks, will say that you're just not, you say pension reform, and you've talked about civilian pension reform, but police and fire, that's a whole different ball, a whole different beast there, that you're not pushing hard enough for that reform. Again, how do you respond?
Well, there is active discussions going on with the leadership of police, with the leadership of representatives of firefighters. The City of Phoenix, myself, and I know a majority of the council are fully supportive of that. But it takes two to tango. And the state legislature, it doesn't appear that doing significant reform of the PSPRS system is on the agenda this year. That's really unfortunate, because if we got it better under control this year, we might be in a better fiscal position next year, and obviously that number is going nowhere but up. Again, I could have taken the same rationale when I first became mayor. Don't do anything. Let it go. It's politically too difficult. We took a very opposite approach. We took on some very difficult issues with the support of the people of Phoenix who voted for significant pension reform, and we've done right by the people of Phoenix, done right by the taxpayers of Phoenix, and so it's critical that the same leadership be shown at the state level.
So when those folks say that you haven't pushed hard enough, you say,
well, we've demonstrated actual leadership. We've shown how it can be done with the civilian pension that we control at the city. We've shown that we can get those costs under control. It wasn't easy, and it took sacrifice by the employees of the city. We've shown actual leadership, and in terms of asking the state to do it, look, we stand with the police and fire leaders who have gone to the state with a good, solid plan of reform, and we need them to actually accept that offer and work with them. Look, you don't have to agree with every proposal that our police officers and firefighter leaders have come forward, but sit in the room and actually eventually get to the answer, yes. We did it at the city, they can do it at the state.
The legislature also wants to ban city taxes on rents. I know that this is, well, you tell me how much of an impact that has on Phoenix, because I know some other municipalities are very concerned about this.
It would be a devastating impact. Look, we have worked so hard to balance our budget and to have in the middle of this legislative session, just as we're planning to move forward with a balanced budget, to have a bill pass where estimates as much as $30 million annual hit to the city of Phoenix. That is money that directly pays for those police officers and firefighters that we spent much of this discussion talking about. It's what pays for parks and libraries and all the wonderful programs, youth center and senior centers, and a $30 million hit to our budget is simply not, it's not the right time. We have worked so hard to get to this position where we have a strong fiscal position, a balanced budget, and it's simply the wrong time to pull the rug out from underneath us and to have such a drastic impact, negative impact on our city budget and the wonderful services that we're able to provide to the people of Phoenix.
Supporters of the bill, though, say that it's not fair, especially to lower income folks, because that tax that you hit the landlords with is invariably passed on to them. Valid?
Well, let me say this. Look, we're at a time in our city's history where we have worked very, very hard to get to a balanced budget position. And look, anytime there's a revenue source, somebody is going to suggest that it is unfair to one person or another person, and we ought to make sure we work towards a revenue source system that is as fair to everyone as possible. But right now is exactly the wrong time to pass legislation that would devastate our city budget and directly cause significant reductions to our core city services. And police and fire make up 75% of our city budget. We are mostly in the public safety business, and we run a lot of other great programs as well. Parks and libraries, senior centers, and youth centers, just to name a few. All would be hurt drastically if that bill were to be passed. So now is not the right time to be pushing forward with that legislation.
Before you go back to pensions, there's talk of AFSCME running a candidate to your left against you because they don't think that you're working hard enough for them and their interests. Your thoughts?
Well, as leader of this city, I'm going to do what I believe is in the best interest of the city of Phoenix, for the people of the city of Phoenix. Some people are going to like some of the decisions. Some people are going to not like. In fact, some people are going to like me sometimes and not like. That's the nature of politics. That's the nature of leadership. You're always going to have critics. My suggestion to any organization who's looking at me as mayor, say, if you think I'm the right candidate for mayor, support me. If you think there's another candidate that would be a better leader for Phoenix, then let's have a campaign and let's have that discussion. I am not going to change my priorities. I'm not going to act ever other than what I think is in the best interest of the people of the city of Phoenix. And that's not going to change if someone tries to recruit a candidate or not recruit a candidate. That is simply not going to change the way I lead the city.
Are you surprised, though, that AFSCME wants a more progressive alternative to you?
I am never surprised by politics. Politics, when you're a leader in a political environment, that's what campaigns are for. It's for people the opportunity to state if they think they've got a stronger position than you, they think they're a stronger leader of the city, then they have every right to do that. I, as the mayor, as the leader of the city, am always going to act in what I believe is in the best interest of the people of the city of Phoenix and let the chips fall where they may.
And this new pension, there is a pension reform committee in action, correct?
Yes.
The latest, give us a quick update on that.
Well, they have actually voted out a proposal that's going to come before our council, and we are going to then in the next few weeks be deciding whether or not to add that to the ballot in an August ballot in the city of Phoenix. It's additional pension reform that will save tens of millions or more. It won't save hundreds of millions or more, but it's still additional reforms that will save the city tens of millions of dollars, dozens of millions, if you will, of dollars more in additional pension reform. Look, we're always going to look for opportunities to act in the best interests of everyone in the city, not just city employees themselves, but the people of this city, the taxpayers of this city, and we're going to try to strike that right balance. That's exactly what we did with this latest round of pension reform. And so I do believe that the council will put it on the ballot. I'm certainly going to be supportive of it, and I do believe the people of the city of Phoenix, as they were just a couple years ago in 2013, will be overwhelmingly supportive of additional smart pension reform in the city of Phoenix.
All right, Mayor, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
No place I'd rather be, Ted.
All right. Women make up about half of the U.S. workforce, but women entrepreneurs own a majority stake in only 30% of American businesses. Men are more likely to start a business than women, and the reasons behind that will be addressed at Phoenix Startup Week at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. Joining us now is Audrey Iffert-Salim, Executive Director of Entrepreneurship and Innovation Initiatives at ASU's Office of Entrepreneurship and Innovation. If I say those words one more time, I'm going to slap myself. Good to have you here. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Let's get started with some basics here. Phoenix Startup Week. What are we talking about?
Phoenix Startup Week is a week filled with activities where all kinds of organizations across the valley are planning events to bring people together to help people forge connections and advance and start businesses.
And you have a panel discussion set for Monday, I believe, a little after noon, correct?
So Monday, we had a panel discussion where
you had one already.
We did, where we explored entrepreneurship from the perspective of women and talked about the various barriers as well as opportunities to advance women's business ownership.
Okay, so those were kind of the general goals there of the panel discussion. What did you hear? What was learned? And why does this situation exist?
Well, I think first of all, it's important to talk about why the situation matters. So you mentioned that women represent just 30% of business owners. But if you look at those business owners, women represent just 3% of startups that have high growth potential, technology startups. Very small percentage of startups owned by women are poised for scale. Now, this is a problem because if we don't address this, we're really missing out on a wealth of potential to create jobs for the U.S.
So, why does this situation exist? What's going on out there?
I think there are many factors at play here, and in fact there's a lot of research around this area too. So factors that include both external factors, so looking at the culture of entrepreneurship, as well as factors that may be internal to women, so factors such as building women's confidence. So if we look at the entire ecosystem of factors at play, I think we see lots of opportunities to address this problem.
Okay, let's get to some challenges here specifically. 1 woman to every 9 men gets equity financing. Now, reasons. Is overt sexual harassment, is that common out there in this arena?
I think that when it comes to negotiation, and this is really, we're talking about negotiation when you're going after capital, there are all kinds of things that could cause women to be less successful in negotiation. But if you look at the research that's out there, a lot of it comes down to socialization. So we're socializing women that they should be acting, for example, quite feminine, and in negotiation, actually some of the things that you really need in order to have a successful negotiation might be more masculine skills. And so these sorts of situations can be really difficult for women to navigate. There's a great book called Women Don't Ask. It's one that I recommend that any woman read who's thinking about going into negotiation.
Is this the way, because I was reading up on this, and it sounds like women are a little more conservative in their pitches, not so much bravado, the crazy ideas, they hold them back, and sometimes the venture capitalists, they want to hear some of those crazy ideas. They want to see a little bravado.
I think this goes back to socialization again. So risk-taking propensity, for example. It could be the case that women are being socialized to take less risk than men. And so this is why I think it's really critical that we have entrepreneurship programs in the university system, as well as really reaching out to young women to help women understand that entrepreneurship is something that could be a tool for you to succeed. And there's all kinds of resources across the university and across the Phoenix Valley to help women be successful.
So when we talk about unintended bias, that people just tend to invest with their own, and a lot of men out there just for whatever reason, unintended, maybe subconsciously, they're thinking, I'm going to go with him as opposed to her. Men don't get women-focused products, those kinds of ideas. That's happening out there, isn't it?
Well, I think that if we're not having more women focus on creating businesses, we're losing out on the opportunity to have women create businesses that come with a feminine perspective as well as a woman's perspective. Those two are not necessarily the same. Mm-hmm. And something that we have to keep in mind is that there is no women's one way. Every woman is different. And so one strategy that works for one woman in a negotiation would not necessarily work for another woman in another negotiation. So we have to keep in in mind that there isn't such a thing as women's and men's.
Yes.
Everyone is different, and so we need to take into account women's individuality.
Okay, so alternatives to venture capital. What's out there for women if the whole venture capital process, maybe it's not the, I mean, you got bank loans, you got SBA, what's out there?
Sure, there's all kinds of opportunities out there for women. One that I think is something that's becoming increasingly popular is crowdfunding. I actually teach a couple of crowdfunding classes, and these crowdfunding classes are an opportunity for folks to get a sense of how do I create a campaign on a platform like Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and how can I be successful with such a campaign. Of course, with Kickstarter or Indiegogo, it's an opportunity for you to use your networks and to really grow your business or your product or service idea using support from the community.
For those who aren't familiar with Kickstarter and Indiegogo, what are they?
Kickstarter and Indiegogo are platforms where you can raise money online to advance whatever your business or product is by creating a marketing campaign and putting your product out there and essentially conducting a pre-sale for whatever it is that you're trying to do. So through this pre-sale platform, you can get folks to pledge money, and in return, if your project is successful and successfully funded, get access to that product.
And see, from for someone like me, I see that and I'm going, that's far more of a risk for me than just going up and trying to get to angel investors to I mean, you know, that's for for people who are working on being risk averse, boy, those things, that's out there on a limb.
Well, it certainly takes a good deal of investment of time, but it doesn't necessarily take an investment of money to create a Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to put in the hard work, and certainly any woman or man can put in the hard work to make a campaign successful.
For those critics who say that the types of businesses that women launch, that's a factor in getting or not getting investor capital, is that valid?
I think that there are relatively few women pursuing STEM, and as a result, there are relatively few women pursuing startups in high growth areas that include science, technology, engineering, and math. And so if you have just 20% of engineering degrees across the United States going to women, of course it's going to be harder for women to create technology or engineering-based startups.
As far as the panel discussion on Monday, did you learn anything? Were there any surprises out there?
I think there were a few patterns that arose. One of them is that we really need more women mentors. So for a lot of women, what they really need is somebody to help them out by taking them under the wings and showing them the ropes. Now, those mentors could be women or men. And in fact, I think it's important for women to have women and men mentors if they're creating their own startups. Both are critical. But I think for many women, they really need that sort of ability to work very closely with somebody on advancing their ideas.
Are you seeing more mentorship out there? Is that happening?
I wish that I were seeing more women come forward and saying, I want to mentor women students. And in fact, you know, I challenge everyone who's watching this to think through whether or not they might be a good fit for mentoring student teams at the university.
But still kind of waiting to see a little more in that area, it sounds like.
I would love to see more women mentors, absolutely.
And as far as this whole situation that we're talking about, women entrepreneurs, investment, the challenges therein, this whole scenario, how has it changed over time? Not just necessarily getting worse to better or better to worse, but just in general, the whole landscape.
We're seeing more and more women entrepreneurs come forward and put their ideas out there and try to move things forward. There are many reasons why women, of course, aren't, as I've talked about before with the research, but I think we're going to continue to see more women coming forward, especially with programs like the program that JP Morgan Chase has helped ASU create.
And if we have this panel discussion next year, what do you think the focus is going to be? Will the focus have changed at all?
I'm hopeful that next year we're talking about how to scale businesses that women have created. Again, with programs like our partnership with the Think Global Institute. This is a program where we're really focused on accelerating the success of women-owned businesses that are in high growth sectors and are poised for scale. We need to create a pipeline for that program. So I'm hopeful that next year we're talking about, now that we have so many women creating startups, how do we turn those startups into scalable business that are really advancing our economy locally and nationally?
A problem of abundance, yes. So good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. And Tuesday on Arizona Horizon, the new Morrison Cronkite poll launches. We'll take a look at the questions and the survey results, and we'll look at Art Detour, a Phoenix tradition and one of the largest art walks in the country. That's at 5:30 and 10 on the next Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.